This is episode 264 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Passing the shield, Monzano?
Yeah. So, to somebody who's not even here. So, William is taking over captain as Team USA. So, I'm still going to play, but Will is the boss now. So, Will is the one calling the shots and doing all the stuff. We can talk about it more later, but.
Yeah. Will is still in transit from Chicago to back to his home in Iowa because he was the one on the ground in Virginia this weekend. But let's continue here. Ryan, Memorial Day is on a Monday. Staniszewski.
Yeah, no matter how much it feels like a Sunday, and you know that it's supposed to be a Monday because Memorial Day is always on a Monday, just like GSP is always on a Monday too.
And James, I miss Hayden Ritter.
I do. I missed him. I'm so glad to see him back on. Like the interviews with him have just been like so heartwarming to see how happy he is to see the Star Wars community behind him.
I think your original quote was like, "The prequels are good now."
Yeah, it's just because like a lot of the interviews that he's been on, like everyone hated him. I don't know what happened, and then now everyone likes him. I don't know.
It's time. It's time. All right. It's that distance makes the heart grow fonder. Is that the quote?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, it was still bad acting. It's just nostalgic bad acting now.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of that in the original Star Wars too.
Yeah.
It's like that's bad acting, but that's my bad acting, right? I love that bad acting. Anyway, yeah, I always like the prequels. So,
yeah,
you haters out there, I love you guys.
Yeah,
it's okay. So speaking of Star Wars changes and celebrating, this past weekend was the Star Wars Celebration. You guys want to know a funny story? I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be at Star Wars Celebration, and I ended up selling my ticket. Now, you might be wondering, like, that's not that exciting of a story. Except, okay, I was supposed to go to Star Wars Celebration with Ryan Farmer and Steven Gonzalez. If you guys know those names, cool. If you don't, then that's whatever. We had planned to go together pre-COVID and all this. We had bought our tickets, and the tickets rolled over all the way to this Star Wars Celebration. And I had thought I had a conversation with Ryan saying that he wasn't going, and neither was Steven, but I could stay at his place if I wanted to go anyway. Guys, that conversation apparently never happened. It was a dream that I had, and literally got called by Ryan saying, "Hey, when are you getting here?" Like my flight, which all had been canceled, and I was just like, "Wait, what?" I thought, and like I'm just going through this whole thing and trying to piece it together. And I apparently either dreamed and or hallucinated a whole conversation about not going to Star Wars Celebration, and that's why I wasn't there. That's all. I just wanted to share with you guys. I'm either, really good at dreaming or going crazy, one of the two. But something really cool that happened at Star Wars Celebration, an exclusive repaint made an appearance. What was that, James?
That was the Ahsoka Aether Sprite. It looks pretty good. I was pretty jealous not to have been able to go as well, because it looks pretty nice.
It does. Now, this probably ends up making it the hardest one to get out of all the exclusive repaints. What do you guys think? Like for X-Wing players, because this means that it was open to the public. Like anybody who wasn't even aware of X-Wing would be like, "Oh, that's a cool ship. I'll just buy that because Ahsoka." All right. I'm just thinking it might end up being the rarest of them all. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because the Plo Koon one was at Worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those. I mean,
Yeah.
Like they're still relatively More difficult than like the vultures or the what was the other one?
Adepticon.
It was the N1.
The N1.
The silver Naboo.
Yeah, because the Silver Naboos they just did on the website, right?
No, it's at Adepticon.
Oh, really? I thought they shipped those out as well.
I think they did a duo. Yeah, they did people at Adepticon first, and then after Adepticon weekend was over, if they had any still in, they hit like first come first serve, I think, basis on their website. They definitely did do that for the Vulture. Vulture was only the Adepticon site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't even think we found out about Ahsoka until pretty recently. It was only the past couple of days, right?
Yeah.
It was like, if you're going to be at Celebration, check out our booth because we'll have toys.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like AMG was like, oh, let's make this plant. That was sitting around in a warehouse somewhere since pre-COVID, like getting ready, likely for the Star Wars Celebration that didn't happen. Like that's my guess. Just like all the other products.
Well, the box says 2022 on it. That's the part that
It does?
That's just a sticker.
Yeah.
Is it a
Is it
sticker
just
though?
a sticker?
It's a sticker.
Okay, then yeah.
Got him.
You got me there.
Well, I just want I don't know. I just want to buy the
I'm sure
picture
somebody in the chat. Is it a sticker? Can we confirm? I know Isofane has one in hand.
Yeah, ISO got one. Yeah.
Because he's sending us one to give away as a prize at some point, which is awesome. So shout out to Isofane for that. Get some ISOs in the chat. But yeah, would love to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, my guess is that the Ahsoka was either a Adepticon or Gen Con exclusive that just got put on hold.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right. So it's Isofane says it's not a sticker. Then I rest my case. Fancy. Okay, cool. I stand corrected. All right. All right. Well, not a sticker. It's under the plastic. Ooh. Their X-Acto knife skills must be top notch.
I guess resurgence.
That's right. Well, our podcast episodes are brought to you by our GSP patrons. Becoming a patron makes you a part of our largest group of supporters here at GSP. Thank you so much for your support. You can go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron to become a patron and get quarterly gifts and awesome stuff today. So, our main topic today is going to be basically we're 1 week in to the rules changes, point changes. I kind of want to know how your guys' week in X-Wing went. After that, we are going to do a full spoiler review and discussion on Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we will give you a full spoiler warning before that happens. If you haven't watched it yet, don't worry. We're not going to talk about Obi-Wan until we get to that point. So y'all are safe until then. I know I have notes down already. Marcel, I think out of the four of us, you were probably the most critical of the changes that happened. And not in a bad way, of course. I'm saying, like, you had some probably the strongest feelings. And I would love to know, your weekend, what happened for you? Positive, good, bad? Did you not get to play? What happened?
I played a little. I played, I think, over the week, 3 games. I think I played one in the week and then twice this weekend. One I played Ollie and I played somebody I don't know. And then
do you remember what scenarios you played?
Yeah, I played the pickup and run. The
salvage mission.
Sure.
For the people who are listening, I gotta
sure.
say what it is.
The action to flip it,
scramble the transmissions,
Yep.
and the King of the Hill,
assault at the satellite array.
Technically, Chance could be king of single hill these days.
True.
Well, King of the little
multiple hills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the 5 hills. So yeah, I played one of each, and not purposely. We each game there was like a random, just whatever showed up randomly. So yeah, and I did more list building than I had before this. Before the change. So I did basically just trying to see what to play at Kyber Cup, because that's really the only thing that I'm in right now. And then with XTC coming up, just starting to think about that. It's coming up in like I think we have to have lists in like 3 weeks, so it's coming up pretty fast. So more theory crafting than anything else. I passed Elden Ring over the weekend, so I think that's gonna open up some time, because I was like real deep into Elden Ring. I was that was taking up like all my non-family or non-work time. All my playtime was like going through Elden Ring. So now that's passed, I think we'll see how much more goes into X-Wing again.
Right. Now, what about you, Ryan? What's your playtime been looking like?
So I got in 2 games, maybe 3. I played Salvage and I played Assault? Question mark? Maybe Scramble? And I definitely played some GTS games as well. But anyway, yes, there's definitely a massive difference not having that first turn for capturing or interacting with any of the objectives. That allowed certain archetypes confirmed. I know I said this last week, and that's what I expected to happen. It's true. Like, there are more archetypes that can play the game because they don't need to go fast and make it to the objectives in the first turn, starting the downward snowball. But also, I don't know if I've had this many different, specifically the word different, separatist lists in my list builder right now. I'm looking like all over the place. It's not just, because I wanted like, oh, what droid swarm can I build? What can I make? That's the normal thing I look at first. And then now looking around at like what I expect to be around and be predominant, and what I can do against it, and then mixing up a lot of things. And there's just a lot that I'm able to plug and play really easily and see how it might work. Whether it's, a little bit of Grievous, Django together or separately in certain lists, mixing hyenas and vultures and things like that. So there's definitely a lot on my plate that I want to try, almost so much so. Normally, I'm very multi-faction, try things out, especially leading up to, as I'll be going to Gen Con. And I might have to commit all my time to just Separatist if I really want to figure something out. Because if I spend any time in another faction, I'm pretty sure there's a chance I might miss something that could be available. Not saying Separatists are they're the top faction and that's like there's so much stuff and they're so deep, but like they just have a lot of options that you can like pull out and plug things in, see how things work, try the new Rogue class Starfighter now that's out. So there's just a lot that they could do. It's just whether they're viable enough and what pieces are going to be needed. I am very concerned about Vader Defender baseline. I'm so concerned about it that I think he is a list building gatekeeper. Whenever I build a list, I say, not that I have to kill him, right? You have objectives that you can play the game and then not go after him, similar to some people did to Boba Fett, right?
Right.
You don't always have to go and kill Boba Fett because it's really hard to do it. But man, there's a huge difference in the factions, what else you can bring in Empire than what else you can bring in Scum. Like Boba and Vader are both in the category of these are really, really hard to kill, and you need to decide early on if you can do it or going to commit to it or not. Or you could ignore them and try and focus on objectives. So it's difficult right now, I think, to for certain lists to maybe even have a solution of some type to deal with them. And this is my early feelings. As things go on, things may develop and figure things out. But man, 9 points in a talent slot for Defender Vader with the loadout he pretty much kept was, I feel, a little overboard, a little overcorrection. This feels like 2-point Leia crew.
All right, and we could break down that Vader here in a minute. What about you, James? I think on Wednesday you and Will got to break down some stuff.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, we didn't play any games on Wednesday. We strictly went through a ton of different list archetypes that maybe we haven't seen a lot of since 2.5 changes. So we went through a lot of those and identified a couple of the pieces that are kind of highlighted with all the points changes. Something like maybe like N3As are, somewhat viable again. Not over powerful or going to be a meta staple, but you can definitely fly some without feeling bad. You can fly Boba again, and like Ryan was saying, it doesn't feel too bad when you're taking a 9-10 point ship because the scoring has kind of been limited to after the second round. We just went through a ton of different lists, and I only got to play one game over the week, but I did play Scramble, and it felt a lot different. It felt really good.
Yeah, for myself, I got to play a game and a half, but I got to play Scramble the Transmissions. And I will tell you, one of the things sitting down and kind of on my way to get ready to play, was thinking a lot about that second turn objective scoring and realizing how much it had before the first round point scoring had been affecting the way I wanted to play. And when I was thinking about the list I had brought, thinking about playing, I know we talked about it before we were going to play Scramble the Transmissions, I realized, hey, for lack of a better term, I could be more cute or different with my opening than I had in the past. Before we talked about, hey, what'd you do? What's your fastest maneuver? Just go, right? That's essentially what you would do for majority of the scenarios. But I got to have a little fun with it, right? I got to do some coordinating, some shenanigans, barrel rolls. I think what most of the players were probably initially upset about, the fact that you didn't have an opportunity to feel like you were outflying your opponent in that opening. I felt like I had an opportunity to do that. Even though it was only one turn, it still gives you an opportunity to set, reset, or kind of feign an idea, and then go for what you want after that. I felt like it made a massive difference to my play experience, and I had a great time. I lost the game. We'll talk about that in a second. But I still had a great time. And I want to stick on Scramble here for a second. Wow. For me, that felt extremely different. The fact that there were only these three objective tokens, the biggest thing for me that I felt the change was killing ships mattered a lot more in Scramble the Transmissions than it did before. And at least in the game, mind you, again, I don't have a giant data set. In the game, my opponent and I both ended up prioritizing trying to kill each other's ships than going for the objective. It wasn't until the fourth or fifth round that all three were claimed. It was just that scenario happenstance of like, wait a second, I know that you could come in and potentially just unscramble it for me, so I'm going to actually choose to be offensive and just not even worry about the scenario action. Like, that happened a couple of times. It was really exciting. I had a great time playing that objective, and I have to say it was probably the most fun I had playing objectives so far. Any other thoughts on Scramble for you guys?
Yeah, that's the one I played today. So I played Ollie. He had a 4-ship rebel list, like an Alpha Strike list, and I had I was trying out Django plus 6 drones, different drones, and so it was a 7-ship list, 7-ship with, and I ended up I think we both were initially just going for setting up the initial engagement because he's got an Alpha Strike list. I've got also kind of an Alpha Strike list, but
The joust.
a jousting list, not an Alpha Strike. Thank you. So we were both setting up for that. However, the only the 3 objectives ended up being a big part of the game because I was only able to kill 1 out of his 4 ships, and he killed 4. Yeah, he killed 4 ships because I ended up with he killed 5 ships. So I only ended up with 1 drone and Django. But most of the game, I was running around with all 3 objectives claimed because he was prioritizing just getting those drones out of there. And I ended up losing, but in the last Wedge was at 1 hull, so it was like it was a game. Even though I only killed 1 ship and he killed 5, at the end, he was 1 hull away from losing, or was it? No, I think it would have been a tie. Anyway, from being either a loss or a tie for him. So the objectives still, like I got all my points from objectives. Every turn I was going 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, mostly 2, 2, 2, 3, things like that. So yeah, I mean, it gave it an opportunity for him to focus on one style of play, and me, I was just opportunity getting. I had more ships, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take as many objectives as I can and see if he lands in my arc because I don't know where he's gonna be.
That's pretty cool. So it seems, at least in that experience right there, a lower ship count list versus a swarm type, it felt maybe a little bit more balanced than we initially saw? Or is that too strong of a word to use?
No, it did feel a little bit more balanced. To be fair, Ollie it's a list that Ollie has been practicing. And I am notoriously bad with fire sprays, like really bad. Like I think I fly the drones okay, but the fire spray, I've never been a good boa or any of those players. So we both agreed that with somebody who has enough reps flying those 2 different types of ships, let's say Daniel, it's kind of like what Daniel was flying with Zam plus a bunch of
Daniel Leon, yes.
Yeah, Daniel Leon. Like somebody who's been doing that or puts enough reps in, a list with 7 ships that can do as much as that specific list can do is probably still has the advantage, but not as big of an advantage as before.
Cool. I know something else for me. Let's go ahead and hit points changes. I'll be completely honest with the initial points. After we did our rankings, we really looked at them. I realized very quickly that I wasn't as excited about building lists, and basically I was building lists for quote unquote for work, basically for GSP stuff is the only reason I was building lists. And this week, more than one time, I've pulled out my phone and just started building lists for fun, which is something I hadn't done in a while since this reset. And it's it's a behavior that, as I was reflecting, for getting ready for the podcast, I was like, oh wait, I have lists in Launch Bay Next that I want to try, because things just the points shifted enough, and I think the biggest thing was the changes in most of the factions with the 2-pointers. I don't feel like I'm being locked in to a specific type of list or to specific pilots just because I'm choosing a faction, which is what was, I want to say, bothering me beforehand.
That's interesting, because I kind of feel not the opposite, but Will and I talked about this a lot on Wednesday stream, where if a faction doesn't have a 2-pointer, then you're basically locked into certain, like, how the points work out for each of your ships. Mm-hmm. It makes it a lot simpler on the amount of different configurations you can bring. If you're bringing, because if you're bringing 6 ships now, then one of those has to be a bigger one than like a 3-pointer. Mm-hmm. So just like the way that the points break out, it can be different. So I kind of feel you though, like you're not limited to bringing, like, okay, here's my first 2 or 4 points. Now what do I do? Mm-hmm. I kind of feel that.
Yeah, like I just felt like I could play with more of my toys. Like the options by restricting something, namely the 2-pointers, it gave me more opportunity. It's a strange way to look at it, and I see we got a couple of fam out there, Matt B14 and Eldoras 412, kind of in that same boat. It's like, hey, I felt like I had more choices, and when I am excited about building lists is when I'm having the most fun playing X-Wing. And because I'm the most engaged at that time. How has list building outside of we have any? So we talk about, Ryan, you were looking at Separatists, right? Marcel, you were looking at stuff for XTC. You got any other hidden secrets there? You don't have to tell us necessarily what it is, but you got any? You got
no,
any,
not
you got
secrets.
Any stuff for me, man? What you got? What you got?
Everybody's still kind of building their own. We don't know who's playing what yet. Mm-hmm. And people might realize, like, we didn't do, like last time, we didn't recruit there's nothing to go by,
right?
And so that that's on me, not recruiting. So for the people asking, like, hey, I wanted to participate this year, the number went from 7 players to 5 players now. So there's only 5 people playing
with 0 track record on X-Wing 2.5.
Yeah, with there's no way to. I mean, we've got a Adepticon, which, obviously live events is tough to gauge because not everybody can travel. There really hasn't been any online, any big online events that draw a lot of people.
Except for the fact that Galactic Championship 2022 is open now. Bill. Free event coming in 2 weekends.
So you were a few months late on that one, or else we would have had a pool. So
was I late or was XTC early? How about that?
No, you were late.
I publicly published my dates first. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So decided to go with, the people that are familiar with the format and familiar with each other. So it's going to be most of us minus Carson, who is just opted out of 2.5 altogether. He's the one that was doing the Stan's dad. I ain't heard no bell. Well, I guess he heard a bell now. And Daniel Leon, he actually got recruited. He's playing, I think, for Team Finland.
What?
So,
what?
I know. He jumped ship.
Jumped ship?
No, he talked to us first. He's like, but we had 8 people that is still available, so. So we gave him our blessing. We still need to boot him out of our channel. That's coming.
Insert traitor gif from episode 7.
No kidding. So anyway, so no secrets yet. We don't know who's flying what yet. I have been just toying around with lists, you know, in my, you know, whenever you have some free time. Mm-hmm. Vader, I've tried a couple different Vader things. I actually flew a Vader list, not because I wanted to, just because somebody wanted to test it. And
I can't stop.
I flew a Vader +5 TIE fighters. Vader survived. 4 out of the 5 TIE fighters died, and it ended in a draw. So yeah, Vader's pretty good.
So let's go ahead. Let's head over to the Yasby. Shout out Yasby.app, my favorite desktop app to build lists. Now, Darth Vader and the Defender is what we've been talking about here. If y'all don't know, his points went down to 9. Last point update, he was at 11. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So overall, one of the things looking at the community feedback, which we're going to hit here in a minute. By the way, thank you to everybody who did respond in the Respondent GSP for today's community feedback. More than one shouted out the fact that maybe the Darth Vader change was a bit of an overcorrection. Went from 11 to 9. Is there a and I think this maybe goes to, I know that AMG is balancing like game balance, but also theme. Like we know that theme is a big thing for them. So maybe with this overcorrection, maybe they're looking like, oh, Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith. Why would we not want to see more Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith? Ryan, can you explain to me how strong a Darth Vader in a Defender can be? Can we slap some auto include upgrades on this man to show the power of the dark side?
I think the most auto include right now is the one that he didn't have a slot for before. He didn't have a talent slot before. And he's got enough points to just, you're a Defender, you get free evades. Juke seems pretty good when you have a fully, with Vader's ability, the 3 Force, his shot is as fully modded as pretty much a focused target lock shot. Like, you can mitigate 1 blank, and you could spend up to 2 Force for your 3 dice, or 4 dice. And commonly, your roll probably hit in there somewhere. I6 with Juke means you're very, very likely to have that evade for Juke. And it also, because of how hard he can hit without spending a focus offensively and save it for defense, or just reposition, or just bump and not stress focus to like have those offenses or defense and just shoot something else that's not range 0. Man, like that Juke is gonna hit real hard because he hits really hard baseline. So not only did he get a 2-point squad reduction, he kept a above 10 point loadout and gained a talent slot. Like that's 3 levels of stuff that probably didn't need to combo together because you have room for stuff like HLC, which means he has now his entire bullseye can be 4 dice. Granted, at range 3, they get the defensive mod of the extra agility. Sorry, not mod, extra dice. And still, if you wanted to even beyond that, because I think Juke is the baseline, and
right.
Pick 2 out of the 3, right? The 2 out of the 3 are HLC, cluster missiles, Malice. Those are the 3. Pick 2. I can't tell you right now which ones are best. I don't know. I've seen people take any combination of those 2, both secondary weapons, even HLC and Malice, like that still has a reason to be taken because you're not always going to use HLC. It's just there to have 4 dice. You don't have to use Malice on an HLC shot because it's going to get turned over anyway. But just the tools are available and the shots are there. You just say, I don't ever have to take a target lock action and worry about using cluster missiles. Like if you don't expect to see stuff tight together at range 1, which probably do with at least scenarios, but ship counts are seemingly going down. So maybe cluster missiles aren't the call. But maybe you want to have cluster missiles and HLC and juke anyway, and just don't take Malice. Because pilot crits are a smaller percentage of the damage deck than ship crits. So, but, I mean, man, regenerating that force back feels pretty good when you do that.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a lot of things comboing right now, and it's not even the fact that this contained all in 9 points on an I6 defender that we know Vader is. The fact that he gains a talent to have juke is big, huge. But on top of that, it's because he's given the Imperial squad 2 more points of room to work with, means either he can, and slight decreases in the other Imperial aces, right? You know, I believe, I don't know if Duchess was 6 before, but is at least 5. You had other defenders who were at 8 down to 7. You have Reapers who are great support chassis, and even Major Vermeil, who would love to see people get juked by Vader and spend their focus tokens. So there's a lot of other good stuff in Empire, whether it is the TIE fighters or it is other Imperial aces that say, like, if you have to ignore Vader and go kill something else, you're telling your opponent that they either need to go try and chew through a TIE swarm that probably should have Iden in there, realistically. If you don't have Iden, I highly recommend you should if you're running your Vader with TIEs. Just ignoring an entire shot is very, very good. It's well worth it. Or if you're telling your opponent to say, go try and kill my other Imperial aces that probably have a similar token stack, your Grand Inquisitors, your other Inquisitors, any of them, your Seven Sisters, your Fifth Brothers. Duchess is really hard to catch, but doesn't have as much agility, but sure, try and catch Duchess that gets 2 ailerons around. That can be difficult for some ships. So, and then, like I said, just straight, here's a whole nother defender that you have to try and kill as well, that could also fit in a list and still fit a 3rd viable ship.
Yeah, so I'm just right now on screen for those of us who are listening at home. Like, I'm just building out. You know, you got Vader and so many different toys you can go. This right here is. Let me go ahead and just do an import. It'll be a little faster.
I was gonna say, you're actually, what are you trying to build? Duncan's list from Richmond?
Yeah, there it is. So this weekend, Will Haywood was at the Richmond Open. It's a new convention tournament. They asked us to come out, say, hey, can you come out for our inaugural tournament? We said, sure. Let's go ahead and make it happen. One of the things we've been trying to do is, is seeing when we can go to these newer or smaller events to promote them. But like, hey, next time you guys should come to this thing. So yeah, Duncan Howard here this was in his stomping ground. This is what he brought: Vader Defender, Malice and Juke, which we saw. Which, in my opinion, those 2 are just standard. You just staple those on, get your super glue, and then you decide whether you want that HLC or some type of other missile. Cluster missile is what he went with for, I think, like we said, the swarm matchup. In the commentary for the top 4 and the final, William got to talk to William got to talk to Duncan about some of his choices. So I would check out that interview if I were you. He brought Grand Inquisitor with extreme maneuvers, lone wolf, fire control system, and concussion missiles, and then Vermeil, working off of that Vader juke with crack shot Palpatine, which can be used for Vader on defense. Pretty big there. And then targeting computer to be like, hey, I have a target lock too. pretty schwanky. So just one example of what you could end up seeing with a Darth Vader Defender. Which actually, this is a conversation piece I want to talk to you guys about here, is ship count. This is a 3-ship list, boys. Thoughts on ship count? It's going down, question mark?
I would like to also point out that Duncan was able to defeat an opponent in Swiss at the Richmond Open in a salvage scenario without getting a single objective point. He won purely on destroying. Now, that's a very small sample size. One game. Duncan, amazing player. I think he played against a Ray Pozori. So it's another PvP style list, right? So one out PvP the other in that point.
Right.
But if this is a trend we see, does this mean if it happens, I'd be concerned. Is the scenario doing its job? I kind of, so my thought here is if a 3-ship list comes in for, like, its objective is to say, I don't want to play this scenario, I want to kill you, I want to destroy all your ships, but the opponent that wants to play purely scenario has a chance, I think that's okay. Like, I think if you have an opportunity to play both ways, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think we need historical data to really figure out if it's a long-term problem, because eventually the way that we all min-max lists and openings and all this, we'll end up essentially deciding which is the better way to go, and we'll just go one way or the other.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a problem. If we have I think that's a good thing. If we have a list that can win and wants to win based on killing the opponent, this is a dogfighting game. That's what I see that as a good thing. I don't see that like the objectives are not doing the objectives are not doing their job. I see it as the game is doing what it's intended to do. You're beating your opponent through killing ships. The objectives are allowing the opponent that doesn't joust as well or doesn't play as well or doesn't ace as well to stay in the game and still be, going back to the game earlier today with Ali, he had a better list at killing things. He was trying to kill me. He was not focused, but it allowed me to stay in the game and still have an opportunity to win. So I don't think that objective play, and I think that's one of the things that turned me away from 2.5, the first iteration of it, is that those type of lists that just basically want to go out, kill, and focus on dogfighting did not have an opportunity or did not have a viable way of doing that, because the snowball effect from turn 1 you're down on points, turn 2 you're down even more, and the games end so fast that you don't have the opportunity to kill, to basically murder everything. That I think it's a good thing. I think it's a step in the right direction, because it gives the people who enjoyed 2.0 better than the people who enjoy 2.5. It gives those people the opportunity to go and play the style of game that they want to play and still be able to do that, which is a really good middle ground. That's a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like how things are going, and I think this is a good way of kind of merging both styles of play to say you can still win if what you want to do is go out there, not get shot, kill everything. You can still go ahead and do that more so now. But the person who wants to go out there and basically play the objective game, play the game that that 2.5 is morphing into, they can still do that and be effective at it as well. They just have to be like always, you just have to think in the back of your mind, okay, I know that there's going to be this really heavy hitter, wedge lists, Vader, Django, like all these initiative 5s and 6 are going to go out there to try to murderize me. And if I'm going out there to try and play the objective game, you have to have, you just got to be prepared for that. Say, okay, I either have to have enough tokens to be defensively, I have to have enough firepower pointing forward to be, to scare them away, or, I have to have enough health to, a bunch of Y-Wings or something to be able to tank long enough to survive.
I wonder if the best case scenario is one where in a tournament you have to choose and choose correctly, depending on the list you're playing against, whether or not you have to play for the objectives or whether you have to play for the dogfight. I think that is my dream of perfect balance, right? And I also look at the ability to win off of ship destruction, that built-in comeback mechanic, right? By having that extra turn where the objectives don't score, I think that is one of the things I realized, again, one game of data. In my one game, when I fell behind, I still had a chance. The score was still close enough where it's like, all right, cool. I have to destroy X ship in order to have an opportunity to win. And I was set on that path, and I just found it more fun. Having that choice. Now, sticking here, talking about ship count, let's go ahead and take a look at another list. The winning list from the Richmond Open was a 3-ship list as well, and it was Resistance to boot, which had been a faction struggling. What do we got here, James?
Yeah, so we have Resistance, and it's going to be a Rey list. Rey, Flyboy Poe, and Zori Bliss in that new Republic Y-Wing. That's going to be a loaded out Rey. She has Finn, Rose, Dead Man Switch, Heroic, Engine Upgrade, and Rey's Millennium Falcon. That is a lot of tech on that one ship, being able to push a lot of damage out. And Flyboy Poe, flying his own thing, he has Heroic, R4, Ferrosphere Paint, Proton Torpedoes, Overdrive Thrusters, Munition Failsafe, Integrated S-Foils, Black One, and Jamming Beam. That's every slot filled that he possibly could.
25 points of thickness. Let's go.
Yeah, I hope he used one of those the quick build cards, because that is a lot of upgrades to put on one table. And to round out the list is Zori Bliss with the wartime loadout, Proton Torpedoes, R4, and Tyrfon Belly Run, just for fun, because it's 0 points now. I wonder if he ever used it throughout the day.
I need a reporter on the ground. Did we get any belly runs? Did we get any? Or it was just like a, don't make me do it. I swear to God, I'll do it. that kind of situation.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. The Tyrfon Belly Run is definitely a at 0 points, and if you don't have the points to add something else, it's a free upgrade.
All right. Now, here is something else that was a part of the discussion during the Richmond Open, was a noticeable preference for big guns. Lots of proton rockets and proton torpedoes. Rey is a proton torpedo and an advanced proton torpedo built in one. For me, I think if we continue to see a preference towards these large munitions, do they see how much of an increase do you think we end up having for those pieces? Right now, how much does a proton torpedo cost right now? It costs...
It's 12.
12?
Yeah. 12
points.
An advanced proton torpedo is 8, so that went up. So... I think right now it's a little bit of a knee jerk. I mean, we're 1 week in.
Oh yeah,
and
that's what this
I think
is
most
about.
of the people most of the people, the 3 games that I played, and most of the people that I've seen put lists out there have been putting those I-5, I-6, proton torpedoes, proton rockets, just different things to kill stuff fast. I think I'm playing Andres Carlson this week in Kyber Cup, and he's got Han, Luke. So also like big, heavy, high initiative hitters. I think that there's it's just like what's hot now. Put Nash, Goran, and 6 TIE fighters out there, and those proton torpedoes become obsolete, because unless you put Goran in a bad spot, Goran's going to be like noping one of those out of the way. And then you make one of those TIE fighters Titan Verso, he's going to be noping another one out of the way. And now you've got 7, 8 shots coming at you. So there's tech against that type of list. You just, we're a weekend or week and a half, whatever it is. People aren't thinking that much about that kind of stuff yet. Also, just a lot of beef. Like, who's flying the VCX? Another ship that me and William were talking about that is very viable, that nobody's really thinking about right now because all the new toys that are out there, is Bosk. Like, Bosk with Notorious and Zam Crew says, throw me those torpedoes. Like, I'll take it. I'll
and keep going. And shoot back harder.
Yeah. Just reinforce. give me a target lock. So I'll get a target lock on you. Now you're strained, target locked. You're recharging my charges. The reinforce is going to eat one of those up anyway. It's there's tech out there that will nom those heavy hitting lists. It's just, I don't think people are it's the list building's not mature enough yet. So there's stuff out there. Same thing somebody was saying. Some of the CIS lists. Yeah. When Ollie and I were talking about, how that game with Django +6 things went, we both agreed, okay, you're going to kill two Trade Federation drones round 1. I still have Django and, 5 shots coming at you. It's that those X-Wings or stuff like that, they're still going to eat up. Now, Defender Vader is a little bit different because he's harder to chew through. But with Defender Vader comes with 11 points of accessible points that you can kill. And Defender Vader is not going to win. He's one ship is not going to cut it. You can chew through whatever, in the list that Duncan we showed earlier, you can chew through Vermeil pretty fast. Like, Vermeil is not, a Han Solo out there, a Rey, Poe, they'll eat Vermeil up pretty quickly, and take Palp out of there, and then go after Grand Inquisitor, and so you can chew through those lists up. And Vader's out there by himself. He's he hits hard, but just have a focus, and whoever he shoots, he's shooting one ship. There's going to be 3 or 4 other ones that he's not.
All right. Now, talking about the list building maturing, I think that's a perfect transition into the Galactic Championships. We saw in the last 2 seasons of the Galactic Championships, the meta evolve into what we thought was the best at the time, and then these massive changes coming. I'm super curious about Sullust. That's the first one, is June 18th Central Time Zone. By the time we get to there, people would have had at this point about a month to really dig in to the updates, to the changes, and I'm just super curious to see what ends up coming out of that. So I want to make some way too early predictions as to give me a pilot that will win the Sullust Galactic Championship qualifier. Way too early prediction. Hit me, Ryan.
I'll say the obvious, Defender Vader.
Defender Vader. All right. Marcel.
I want to go somewhere a little not expected. Do you have one, James?
Yeah.
Let me think about it.
I think it would be easy for me to say Anakin, right? Because that kind of encompasses a lot.
You gotta specify which one.
Which one? I really would like to see 7B Anakin, because he has been kind of was a meta monster with Marcel flying around with regen, but with regen going away and him going down a point. I really think that he has a lot to offer the Republic. Because I think he's 6 points now. Maybe 7, but still
very worth it.
That is a chunky ship at I6 that can still do a lot. And I really think
a talent slot and 15 loadout points.
Yeah, all of those things. So yeah, I mean that's not so far off from Defender Vader. I mean, obviously you can't really compare the two, but I mean, he does bring a lot of what Defender Vader brings. Is that I6 has force, has a talent slot, and he has double reposition here as well. So I feel like he could be a big contender if played correctly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say the one that I think has the highest probability of winning is Luke, X-Wing Luke. And the reason I say highest probability is because the Rebel is still probably one of the factions that will be played the most. I think Wedge and a couple other players out there. And the VCX, that's another one that we didn't. Like the VCX will chew through some stuff as well, just like, Bosk and stuff like that. Han Solo, Wedge, Ahsoka. So they've got plenty of toys, but I think all of those toys, however you build it out, the common ship is always Luke right now. So I think Luke has the highest probability if I was just going there. But if I'm going on a let me make sure it's legal. If I'm going on a not obvious pick, this is just like more of a way too early hot tamale take, is going to be Rear Admiral Chernu.
Oh, spicy. You know what? I want to see somebody make a splash with Cad Bane. I want to see some Cad Bane. Separatists, Cad Bane.
That's the more difficult one. Okay.
Yeah. Separatist Cad Bane is what I want to is what I want to see. So we'll find out. Let's find out who will prove us right. I know I have a bunch of approvals I got to go through for Sullust, but looking at the roster I have right now, I do see a lot of scum players. At least players who historically have played scum. I'm not necessarily trying to give away anybody's secrets. I'm just saying that's the data's out there for you to see. We'll see what ends up happening. So with that, I want to just go ahead and take a quick peek at our comments from the community here. We'll see Zach to the Future says Scramble went from worst to best. Some people saying better flight and scenario points. Pretty cool. Combat second round was something good. The game is more balanced. They changed my baby. I'm not sure really what that means, but thanks, Sandy. Very, very helpful. Vader Defender being called out quite a few times. 9's too low. All right. Some people arguing about what is the best scenario. You know, actually, quick question. What is your favorite scenario, folks?
I haven't played them all yet in the new setting to make a full yay or nay.
I like the, I think it's satellite, is what you called it.
Assault at the satellite?
Yeah, the one with 3 that you action. I think that's
Scramble.
Really good.
Scramble.
Okay, so I think that's my favorite. It's few enough to still let you to dogfight, but it's high enough to still allow you to win on objectives.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree there with Marcel, because Scramble, really has gone from, in my opinion, the worst to the best. It has the 3 objective points, which can still rig you a lot of points, but you can just like straight up ignore it and go after kills.
Love it, love it. I'm excited to see how this evolves. I'm excited to go to play some X-Wing this Wednesday. I want to see people out there at Flight Club on Wednesday, seeing what we can get. James, have we had some people try out some of those new clone Z95s? We got any takes on that yet? Any insights?
I've played go ahead, because I've only played like one game with them, but you can go ahead, Ryan.
Boost is so much fun. Holy crap. I just slap prockets on Boost and just dare people to be in my vicinity. Like, hey, I did a blue. Sure you want to be here? I'm just gonna boost start engage and get a rocket. Or I was playing against Mitch and he had quick draw, like range 1 of boost, like full modded, like I'm ready to get you, and I just went, I'll leave, bye. He was like, wait, come back.
No, that's not how this is supposed to go.
I think boost was a lot of fun.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. I think you should challenge some people to play some C95s versus rogues. I think that'd be fun to see. Fun to see.
Yeah, I do like that all of the Z95s are three squad points.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does let you kind of choose which one you really like. If you want to go for the ones that give you more dice, in Killer and Stub, or if you want to go with more of the funner ones with Slider and Neck.
All right. Cool. So that's it for now for our initial thoughts on the points changes and stuff like that, because I wanted to give us some time to talk about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So this is your official warning. You are now in spoiler territory. If you do not want to hear about spoilers for Obi-Wan Kenobi, it is time for you to go ahead and turn off this video, okay? Turn on the klaxon. Wow, 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 wow. Okay? I've given you more than enough time. Okay? I love you. Goodbye to those of you who haven't seen it yet. I would suggest going to watch it. All right. So, first, can I say my least favorite type of post anywhere is when somebody says non-spoiler review. I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. If you've ever posted anything and started it with non-spoiler review, no. You can't do that. You can't. Anything you write in that paragraph is a spoiler. Literally anything. Because you are changing my experience in which how I experience that media. That's my opinion. Now we can get into the content.
Yeah, I think my favorite non-spoiler review that I saw it was a non-spoiler review that was just cinema, in the period, and I was like, okay, I'm excited.
No, like the one I saw was like people been like this character. Like, they just start talking about characters. Non-spoiler review. Character. I'm like, oh yeah, oh, okay, sure, okay. Very. Shout out to Felsepto, by the way, for dropping some subs there. Thank you so much, and to Isofane as well. So, first, yes. Did you enjoy it? We'll start there. James, Ryan.
Yes, I enjoyed it, and yes, James gave 2 thumbs up for the audio listeners.
Oh, audio listeners. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
And Marcel.
Yep, enjoyed it.
All right. Okay. All right. Favorite part? Let's just go. What was like something you were like? I loved seeing this thing. While you guys are doing it, I will tell you what. One of my favorite things about good storytelling is when. All right, let me back this up. One of the things that irritates me when people complain about movies and TV shows is that sometimes they complain about the characters acting like normal people. Or like, oh my God, why would this character do that? That's not like them. I'm like, because anybody can make bad choices. Like seeing Obi-Wan, like he's working essentially at a Tatooine meat packing plant, right? In the middle of the desert. And he don't want anybody to bother him. And when they're like, you should help. And he's like, I don't really want to. It's essentially what we got out of him. And I saw people complaining about it. I'm like, the man has been through some trauma. He doesn't want to deal. There's nothing bad with that.
Yeah, he's dealing with his own thing right now. Like he's having some nightmare trauma.
So I mean, I had a. Well, we're saying the good things first. So
yeah,
the first thing, because I did have like a nah, this don't make sense type of thing. The I think the part that I enjoyed the most is the foreshadowing of I think it's the third sister. I think it's what she's called. The foreshadowing of the third sister's backstory. Like, why does she have it in for Obi-Wan the way she does? Mm-hmm. And she's kind of impetuous, and they hint at her not being as gifted or as powerful as some of the other ones that are placed above her. But it seems like she might have the ambition, and it's not all about like your midichlorian count. There's other. Obi-Wan is not stronger than Anakin, but he still beat Anakin. There's other factors that come into it. So I think her. I like it when they start developing good character. A good character arc, a good story arc for a character. I think she's probably got a good story arc in the making. I mean, she may be not new to you guys. I didn't watch any of the Clone Wars. I didn't watch any of that, so I don't know who the third sister is. So.
No, she's brand new.
She's a completely new character. Yeah, she wasn't even in the comics, which I found interesting. But yeah, I think the thing that I'm most confused about, and maybe I hope that they'll explain it in the show, is how does she know who Anakin is? Because I'm pretty sure Vader went on a killing rampage on anyone that knew he was Vader. So I'm hoping that they'll explain how she knows and why she's not dead yet.
I wonder, okay, so in one of the opening scenes, right here, we'll go ahead and do one of this.
I think that's where our link is probably going to come from, why Reva knows.
Yeah. So there's all these younglings that are together and all that. That they can't be showing us that on accident, right?
I feel like one of them is Reva.
Yeah, they did zoom in on one of the younglings, and I feel like they may reveal later that was one of the that one of those younglings was Reva. I hope so. Otherwise, it's just another Order 66 scene.
That just makes us sad.
How many times do we have to relive this?
All right, here, wait. Quick how this implicates or how this will impact X-Wing. Guys, this ship looks awesome. It's like a flying castle, right? Like,
yeah, I saw a lot of people liken the shape of this ship to Vader's castle.
yes.
Which is awesome, and I love that. So, yeah, really excited to see more of this ship.
Medium base? It's
Probably,
kind of shuttle. It looks shuttle-y to me.
Definitely looks Reaper-esque size. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed Leia just destroying her cousin. That was
Yes.
Yo, who is this actress? For real, like
She's
came
good.
out of
The
nowhere.
little kid's good.
She came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, she has a job in this industry. Like she is. Watch your career with great interest.
Loved it. All right. Okay. Here, let's go ahead and talk about this. So the Grand Inquisitor ends up getting murked in the second episode. I know we're jumping all the way to the second episode. All right. Ends up getting stabbed in the chest by the third sister, and all the canon nerds out there went, but what? That happened? No. Ezra killed the Grand Inquisitor in the mountain with the volcano. You changed the canon. Do you think he lives? Is this a different guy? What are your thoughts?
I assume he lives.
Yeah,
I
hope
so. It'd be really weird if he didn't.
Yeah, don't take Rebels away from me, Disney. I have a family. Like you can't take canon away from Rebels.
So, what do we have to go through the credits and make sure Filoni's in there as a producer somewhere? Because if he's in it, like I assume we'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Stuff.
Yeah, not only that.
So,
I mean,
as a positive, speaking on the Grand Inquisitor, besides the fact that Reva was so ambitious, she didn't want Grand Inquisitor taking her shot at Obi.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people were very meh about the look of Grand Inquisitor, like, and how much more human he looked versus how he could have looked in live action. Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's the same species of the people on Utapau in episode 3.
Yeah.
So there was already an established look. I was able to easily get past that because the person playing him and how he was carried within the show and his lines and his delivery was great.
It was awesome. It was really good. Yes.
Yeah. That's why when he was stabbed, not only was like the rebels like feel like, wait a minute, this can't be a way he dies, was also like, man, I hope he doesn't just get shelved for most of the rest of the episodes because like he was great.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're going to do with him because I feel like they don't want to set up Grand as the big bad. They want to set up Vader and Reva as the bad guys of the show, which fair. They're telling their own story in the Obi-Wan show, but yeah, it does kind of feel bad for Grand because like he's actually a really good villain. He's not on the same level as like Thrawn for me, but like one step down with how
he's very
just,
menacing. Very
yeah,
menacing.
he just like taunts his victims as well, and it's just yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Maybe this introduction to the Grand Inquisitor could be set up for something in the future, right? One of the things that Disney has gotten really good at is this in the Star Wars universe and all these different shows is they can take a character, pull it out, and make a whole story about it, right? Like that. I think this is the guy. Like I loved his presence, and it felt like the Grand Inquisitor to me. And I know like some people were like, oh, but the look. Like for instance, in the live action, they've actually changed the way Trandosians look like a lot. Like, oh no, these are Trandoshan's. I know they don't have a huge nose anymore because they want them to be able to like emote and stuff like that. But it's the same, so it might just be a cosmetic change.
Yeah.
To make it work a little better.
To Cad Bane, people were kind of concerned about how his live action debut was. It wasn't. I don't think it was as. We're actually probably similar to how the difference between the Grand Inquisitor is in the show now. I mean, you're gonna. They've
talked about it in interviews about Ahsoka specifically, because they changed the way that she looked from Rebels to the Mandalorian show. And they talked about how like it's just not feasible to bring something in like that, and it's just much easier, and it makes it flow better within the story than having to like actually like make Montrails that are like 4 feet long like they were in the show.
Yeah.
And
so
I think it's the same thing.
There's things you can and can't do in live action and can't do in animation. So, I mean, I don't remember this much gripe about nailing this specific look for the animated characters when they were first seen, when we already knew with the live action. Like, if you look at Count Dooku in the animated Clone Wars and Count Dooku in the like live action, man, I don't know why you weren't mad at that, or at least I didn't hear about anyone getting mad at that.
Dude, like I had like a 2 foot tall
animation
head.
Was a style, right? No.
Yeah.
That means if they're taking a style of animation, adapting it into live action the other way around, they have to also make some adjustments.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I saw a lot of comparisons when the show, when we first saw stuff like with Ahsoka and then Cad Bane and now with Grand.
Sorry, guys, I fixed it. Done.
What's the problem here?
It's perfect. Look at that. I got it. Done. All right, continue.
But I saw the same things where it's like, why are people getting upset at this when we saw some crazy wacky stuff like Yoda in Rebels? Like, that was weird, but that was a stylistic choice of the Rebel show.
Yep, exactly.
I did want to say one more thing on Grand before we moved on. The first thing my wife said when we were sitting there watching it was, "Is that Mr. Wickham from Pride and Prejudice?" And it is. It's the same actor as Mr. Wickham from Pride and Prejudice.
Nice. Didn't realize that. Mind you, I haven't seen Pride and Prejudice, so I wouldn't know. A small detail that I did like quite a bit with the Inquisitor is they had a couple of close-up shots where the eyes, they had the yellow in it. I'm not sure if you saw that like Sith Lord yellow change, which was pretty schwanky. Now let's go ahead. Let's have Marcel start us on the dark side of our review. They said Marcel, he's been waiting. He's like,
critical one.
Where's my time to complain, man? Let's go. All right, what you got, man?
Hey, you gotta keep my pitchfork and flame torch business in.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
In business. So the part, well, there's a couple parts, but the part that really bothered me, and it goes into like episode 8 type of bothering for me, is so this has been 10 years since Order 66 and stuff like that, right? Basically, if Luke and Leia are 10 years old. When Organa comes in and basically is looking for help from Obi, and then Obi's starting to do this, just basically trying to go along and rescue. He's like, well, it's been 10 years. I'm not the person I used to be. Like, I'm rusty. I don't, he's kind of lame, and it's like, I don't care if you've been sitting on your butt for 20 years. Like, you were a Jedi. You're probably the third most powerful Jedi of your time, and you're all of a sudden rusty and like not equipped to do what you need to do. Like that to me was, and he was getting beat up, and I was like, dude, you're a Jedi.
Dude, 10 years is a long time.
I don't care how long it is. Like,
you
this
try
is
not doing something
Obi-Wan.
for 10 years and then do it then.
Yeah.
Like,
'Cause-
plus all the trauma of, like, the mental breakdown of potentially dealing with all that we haven't seen.
And being on
we don't know how
Tatooine
many
for 10
flashbacks there
years?
could be.
That's like 20 normal years.
It don't. I mean, it honestly don't matter. Like, you don't. It's muscle memory. He's been doing it since he was like 3 years old. His whole life. It's it's like riding a bike. He's using the Force. He doesn't even need to be like physically in shape for it. He's
disconnected himself from the Force.
Did
just
you
the
see
same
how
way
hard
that,
it was for him to use the
Yeah.
Force to grab Leia?
Yeah.
It looked like it physically hurt him. He was like, ah!
Yeah.
And then he finally got it.
Yeah,
He's disconnected himself from the Force.
That's the part I'm not buying. Like, you guys might be okay with it, but for me, that part was like, it's Obi-Wan. Like, he's been training.
He's being more.
Look at this guy.
Flaws and being more human, though. What?
Look, does this guy look like somebody who's feeling okay? He don't look. He
didn't look okay
depressed.
in either episode.
He's depressed.
Anyway, that's my
It's a broken man. It's a broken man. You wanted this to be
he's
like
not a broken man. He's a broken Jedi warrior master. He's still a Jedi warrior.
Who's still a man at baseline.
So is
Marcel wanted him to come out.
I don't like it.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wah, 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 wah. 2 episodes worth of wah, wah, wah. Is that what you wanted?
No, he doesn't have to be that, but at least, he doesn't have to be all like, I'm a rusty old man.
I'm just excited for the first time that he actually ignites his saber.
They kept teasing it.
I know. They pulled it out, and I was like, oh, he's going to do it. But, yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Leia, I found it interesting that people were like, man, that little kid was annoying. I'm like, you've apparently never been around like 8 to 10-year-olds.
Yeah, that kid was cool.
She was on point. She was exactly what I would expect out of that
Leia.
character.
Yeah. I'm really like I would just watch a show with just her. Like, that sounds like her growing up and just like smack talking all these kids.
Agreed. I would say one of the things that if I was to be critical, because I know I get accused of being like, you just like everything. Like, stop liking everything. Is while I enjoyed the in the second episode we had what's the name of that actor? The guy who was pretending to be a Jedi?
Oh,
the Eternals guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
I felt like the time, like, I laughed, but when I watched
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah, like I did laugh, but when I rewatched it, I felt like the timing, like, it was in this, like, oh my God, they're in the city, all this crazy stuff is happening, and then they just kind of they cut to this. I know that it's common in Star Wars, so like, hey, let's lighten the mood just a little bit, so it's not all death and destruction. The funny haha. I know that they wanted to lighten it up. I thought the timing was a little strange for me personally. But again, I understood why they did it. And on the rewatch, the timing felt a little off for me.
I think that's the part that Kayla and I talked about the most. Like, when the episodes are over and then you talk about it. Mm-hmm. I think that's the part that we both went back to and were like genuinely appreciative that they threw that in there, because it was silly, and it was silly in a good way. And then we were talking about like what's coming up next, and we're like, well, the third sister didn't kill him. And that seemed kind of weird that somebody who purposely tried to kill her, had a gun, was trying to stop her and kill her. She decided not to kill him. I mean, the Inquisitors are supposed to be super ruthless, and she was going to kill, if you don't tell me who it is, I'm going to kill Ben and all this other stuff. It seems out of character for the persona that she's playing. Mm-hmm. So again, that's kind of building to the arc of her story that I'm genuinely interested to learn. And we were like, well, he's still alive, so he's gonna play, more. He's gonna keep playing a role as this evolves. And he's a very popular actor. I mean, he's I don't know his name, but I know his face.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah. Like I recognized him as soon as I saw him. I'm like, oh, it's Eternals guy. Which, by the way, I thought he was the best part of Eternals too. Him and his cameraman.
I do agree.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like for me, it took me out of it because I mentally went to the Eternals. I was like, wait, no, I'm in Star Wars. Stop it. Like it just didn't hit right with me. But again, I still giggled. I still laughed. I liked it.
I think the only thing that I wasn't too much a fan of was how drawn out the kidnappers Leia chase scene was.
Yeah,
I don't mind her getting away
rivaling...
a little bit, but there was some little extra time that was just like, man, would she really juke them out that much? There's 3 or 4 of them, and the shots were weird themselves, choreography wise.
Yeah, it was rivaling the Vespa chase scene from Boba Fett.
I think probably if I was to maybe look into their minds, is Leia does have access to the Force but doesn't quite know it, so maybe she's got a little extra agility, a little extra instinct. Like if I go here, they probably won't catch me. But at the same time, she's 9 years old in here, 10. She's still gonna end up being overpowered. That's still gonna happen, especially when Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers coming after you. He's coming.
Yeah, that did make me like wait, is that Flea? There's no way.
Yeah.
I looked it up and I was like, yeah, that's Flea.
Yep. So a squirrely little kid in the forest. Now, one of the questions we got asked here by Lambolo is, you guys are going really deep. Have you viewed the ship from a production perspective? If you mean how it looked, I think it looked great. There are definitely moments where it's it looks like a movie, and then there are moments where you're like, this is still TV, where you know that it wasn't quite, they didn't quite have the budget to do as many shots as they would. So for instance, I'm pretty sure we got almost the exact same shot of that Obi-Wan's bus back from work. 3 times. I think it was the same shot 3 times with the bus going through with minor lighting changes, and I think one was a perspective flip where it was going in the opposite direction. But I was like, hey, they're stretching the budget. They want to show that he's traveling here, so they're gonna use that thing. But I think overall, I think it looked really good for what they had, and the amount of different scenes that they had, obviously allowed to them by their use of the volume, which apparently looking into this was something that they had a lot of. Most of these episodes was shot in that basically giant game engine where they can draw out whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I'm
that
really
thing is
excited.
So cool. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah, I'm so excited that they basically have almost exclusive rights to that just for Star Wars shows, because that's what I've mostly seen them use it for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you haven't had the chance to watch any of the behind the scenes for any of the Star Wars TV shows. One, I recommend them. But two, specifically Mandalorian Season 1 behind the scenes has multiple episodes. There is an episode called Volume. It explains what we're talking about. It is really cool and probably is the next big technological leap for filmmaking that makes the actors' lives easier than just standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah, because they're actually in the scene that actually in it. So instead of having to like look at like puppets on or like little men with green suits with sticks, they can actually be in the scene itself and have the background and be in it. It's like a mix of physical and digital.
Yeah. Like it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, the technology, how it's gotten.
I know we just missed it, but did anyone notice that the girl that was trying to sell Obi death sticks and spice was his actual daughter?
Oh, it was?
Yeah, that's Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yeah.
I did not catch that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that they have a long history
also,
of.
Was that our first real live action showing of a result of people getting exposed to spice in Star Wars? Like, we know of spice trade. We know that it's illegal. We know it's an underground thing. But I don't think we've ever actually seen an immediate, like, they're spice and they're inhaling it and then they're like loopiness afterwards.
No, we have never seen drug use in Star Wars. Is the first time.
That's a very good point, though. That it's kind of been not a central theme, but a constant reoccurring talking point. Like, the spice mines of Kessel. Oh, you're gonna dump your spice whenever you get seen by Imperials. And just like it's everyone's talking about the spice, but like a lot of the viewers never actually get to see like what is spice? Is it like food spice, or like am I missing something?
He smashes that bottle in that room, and those guys, they're done, right? They're just completely done, which is absolutely crazy.
I also loved that dinosaur with a gun. That was pretty cool.
Agreed. So I mean, overall, I was very happy with Obi-Wan. Like, look at this man, Marcel. This man is disconnected from the Force. Look at his dead in those eyes. I need the screenshot to load so I can show Marcel.
He's got a mission to train and learn Qui-Gon Jinn's.
His mission is to hide and survive.
I think I know that. Okay, so Yoda's like, I have this training for you. This is somebody who should have been doing his homework and has not been. Okay, I have seen those looks from my students. Mr. Morales, I know I was supposed to do this. I have done none of it. You had so much time. I know. I panicked, so I stopped
reaching out
working.
With the Force, trying to stop Mr. Morales from putting a lower grade on their homework.
Yeah. So anyway, I was very happy. I am excited for the next episode. So is this going to release on Fridays? Is that
Wednesdays?
Yeah.
They usually do Friday show, like new show releases, and then for this one it'll be Wednesdays. I did look in like the little casting stuff, and it looks like Rupert Friend, or Friend, whatever you say it, Grand Inquisitor, is slotted or credited for.
I would say stop.
Stop!
Yeah, those
kind of spoilerish.
No, we're spoiling episodes 1 and 2.
Okay.
We're not. Yeah, I don't want to know.
He's alive in Star Wars Rebels, which is later, so he has the potential to come back.
He's alive in Star Wars Rebels. I don't want to know what episodes he might show or not show back up in an Obi-Wan.
Okay.
All right, it's
That's fair.
perfect. Well, I think that's a great time to stop, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week with more X-Wing and probably Obi-Wan talk. So thanks for watching, everybody. Be smart, be safe. Go Squadron.